Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Clueless 8, and now we're going to hit a couple of the charts and try to make head or tail of what's going on. All right, so here's a chart on Apple, and this is a daily chart. I'm focusing on dailies right now so people have a broader overview of what's going on. And as you can clearly see from the daily chart by looking at the internals, we're not fully oversold yet. Now remember, if you look at closer time frames like the hourly or the 4 hour and things like that, we're going to do that right now by looking at the hourly, we are definitely very quite oversold. There's no question about it. So short-term bounces are there and they need to be sold, in my opinion. So let's look at the daily. So we've brought a picture of what might be happening in front of us. So on the daily, Apple is within a large trading band. That trading band is basically 135 and one, let's call it 120, 118 to 120, 15 points. And this is where we are. It's a wide channel. If it falls below the channel, then things really get rough. So from a standpoint of these channels, if we fall, we are below the channel here, but this is the trading band we're traveling in, right? So I bought the Apple here, we traded it. I wasn't here at the top, but managed to sell a good bunch around these levels, and it's all good. Now we have a hollow candle reversal. We'll get into it some other day, but these are very powerful reversals. And we have this situation that developed today, right? Little doji. A doji is basically indecision, and it looks like this. I'm not a candlestick expert, but please feel free to go to another site and learn all about it. So bottom line is that if we get down here again towards the 120 level, there's a good chance that we bounce again. If we fall below this trading band, this we were talking about, okay, then we're talking about a massive trend change. Let's talk about a massive trend change. Then in that case, you do not want to be long Apple. You want to basically go out there and short it on every dip, every rally that it has. Okay, and it's very possible that we come down to 102, in which case there would be a very strong tradable bounce because it would have completed this big pattern that we're talking about here, right? Now, that's looking at way too far because if Apple loses 20 points and goes to $100, well, I can tell you that this market's going to be in some deep doo-doo, right? We know that. So in the meantime, there's a possibility that Apple enters back into this channel, this wide channel that I'm talking about, that it's traveled in for months and months since last year. And if it does enter the channel, it's going to hit first the 135 level again. This is a bullish view. And then, of course, you can go all the way up here. I mean, all things can happen. Apple could get into China. Their numbers could be huge. They could come up with a newfangled TV that basically just, maybe a TV that watches TV for you. That's a bad joke, by the way. And all kinds of stuff. And you could do that. I mean, these are large swing trades we're talking about. In the meantime, I focus on this band that the stock is traveling in. So if it gets down towards this level, it's a buy. And as I've shown it very clearly, my charts are very precise. This is a consolidation channel. It broke below it, went back into it, shot up above it. Talk about mini euphoria. I mean, that's really what happens. That's one quick thing I want to deviate for everyone to listen to. Volatility is unquantifiable. You can basically say, oh, I know how to handle volatility. Nobody knows how to handle volatility because volatility in its true essence is uncertainty. You can be prepared for uncertainty, but when it's happening, whether it's in our lives or whether it's in the market, you're still going to be frazzled. You're still going to be shaken around. We can always predict that somebody's going to hit us from the back on a highway, but when it does happen, do you feel the same way? But no, you know how to handle it. You're not going to completely flip over. You know whether to veer right or left and get out of the way. But even when the impact does happen, it's still a new event. You're shaken up. Not the adjustment in the market. This is behavioral finance, okay? We can be prepared for everything in trading. But when it does happen, we still get shaken up. So this is stuff that I've learned over the years. So just Just because you're prepared for something doesn't mean it's not gonna feel bad. Just because you're prepared for somebody to punch you in the face doesn't mean it's not gonna hurt when the person does it. All right, just remember that. So that's Apple right now. On the and I'm looking at it from a broader standpoint. If we get down to the 121, let's say top of the box at 120.16 or even 118, these are great. I think on a short-term basis, it's a strong buying opportunity. Let's take a look at Google. Google is actually okay. It broke out of a massive 10-year channel. You can see that. A lot of the new people who have joined me, they haven't seen this chart. We made a great deal of money off this because I called the stock all the way down here. Okay, and we traded it back and forth. And you know what? Credit has to be taken where it's due. I mean, I've called some phenomenal shots on the market, and it's high time that I take some credit for it. I mean, after all, that's what a market forecaster does, right? So Google right now on a well, it says 7-day, let's say weekly basis, is broke out of the channel, and now it's relieving some pressure. Now on the weekly chart, if you look at the internals, just by looking at it, and these things have served me very well over the years, you can clearly see here that it's not overbought. It gets overbought when it gets up here, right? So is it possible that Google goes back and tests at 25 level? Where did it go to? I'm looking at my other screen here. Google hit a high of 713. Is it possible that it gets up to 713? Yeah, sure is. It sure is. There's also a possibility that it comes down and tests this wide trading band that it was traveling in, this one, before it broke out. This green line, this red line, which is around the 600 and change. Yes, it's very possible. But nothing really changed. This is still looking good. All right, so we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Take a look at, let's take a look at the daily chart. The daily chart on the stock is obviously showing that it's overbought, needs to reset, and wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to the lower acceleration band right here at around 636. That's about 20 points from here, which can happen in about 10 minutes, and that would be a buying opportunity. Is it possible it closes the top end of the gap at 606? It is there, but I doubt if Google falls 40 points. But anything can happen because the massive forced institutional margin call selling that's taking place is hitting a lot of things, like they say, baby with the bathwater. Okay, let's take a look at Twitter. Twitter is stuck in this minor range here. It seems to be above it right now, and the earnings will determine where it goes. It's a very difficult chart to read because internals are kind of mixed. This stochastics can easily turn up, or it can fall and get deeply oversold like it did here. Now, deeply oversold here didn't mean the stock was going to make a big move up. It did move up a little bit, but honestly, Twitter is a very difficult technical stock to trade. However, I will tell you that this channel that it's been traveling in is going to be broken up, and at least I know what the downside is. It's between somewhere around 30 bucks, 30 to $33, which doesn't completely shock everyone because the stock's at 34.70. So whichever the case, this is a swing play. I still believe that it is going to enter this upper channel. Let me get all these lines out here so you can see what I'm talking about. And many of you who really study my charts know exactly what I'm talking about. The bottom line is that at this point, if it enters this, breaks this, this is downtrend line number 2, downtrend line number 1. If it breaks above this, it's going to attack this test the bottom end of this uptrend line, which is around 41. And if it enters that, it's 46. Twitter is a great company. They need to fix their infrastructure. They need to do what they need to do, the internal management. And I think they are very well aware of the fact that they need to get some big recognition. On a broader picture, this is what's going on. The stock at one point will be $56, and it's not going to be that long. Mark my words. Now, whether it's a buyout, whether it's a natural organic move up there? It is very possible. Can earnings bring it up to the 40 range and higher? Very possible. What would earnings do? If earnings are really crappy, it goes down to 30. So what do? You sell the stock there? No, you buy it because this is a definitive technical low on the stock around 30. All right? So the Tweety Bird goes to 30. Big deal. You buy it there. So you got a 4 point, you got roughly about a 4.5 point downside, and you got an upside that's to $46. This is a stock that I'll be playing, and I will certainly keep you guys abreast on what we're doing. We have to buy. If we're going to play the calls, we have to buy deep in the money calls. Do not try to say, oh, I'm going to buy the 40 calls because it's going there. Because you know what? The algos will kill you. But this is a pattern that I like. Now remember, for a lot of the new people who listen to this video cast, have the patience of listening to it, my comments are based on my experience on what has happened, and I've traded a heck of a lot of stocks than most people out there. Let's take a look at ICPT. This is a stock that made a decent sum of money on. This is looking actually pretty damn good. Okay, we have a defined downtrend line. It hits the downtrend, it came down. Unless it breaks 200, or let's say, well, that's way far away from most people. This is a pattern that I like. I still believe the stock gets to 320 because that is a dragon bullish right there. If it falls below here, the 230 level, different story. I did call it way back when I said the stock needs to get down to what's either here or at least test these lows before it goes higher, and it certainly did that. This, I believe, you can swing on a long-term basis. It's a highly volatile stock, so you can trade it too. These large type of megaphones tells you where the stock is eventually going to land up when it hits the lottery. Okay. Now, why do I say that? Is because I've gone through these type of megaphones before. I never believed in them, but it does happen. It does happen. So if you want to look at it this way, it moved from here up to the 500 level is very doable. Now, if everything goes wrong with the stock, then obviously we're going to be talking about a move like this into the lows here. Pretty simple, right? But what are the chances of a world-class company doing that immediately? Can, because their drugs won't work or whatever happens, right? All right, now let's take a look at Juno. I know people. Oh, Athena is another company that I recommended. I have to find that Twitter feed where I recommended this. I know that one of my older members has position in that. I own it long term. Athena is moving out nicely. This is a stock which is powerful. It's just doing just classic channel surfing. And 1 second, just change this color here. So basically, what we're looking at here is that the stock has a fair shot to go to 165. Because that's really what it's doing. It's moving between a wide channel. Now, many of you don't really look at channels and stuff like that, but I'm just showing you, what I see. Teva, I like a lot. It is right now getting to the top of the channel, around $73. If it breaks above that, you have a 161.8 Fibonacci extension of around $88. Teva just bought some big, a powerful segment of Allergen, and I think the stock is very much in play because they like what they see. It's an Israeli company. They're very smart what they're doing, Teva Pharmaceuticals, and I believe that this is the stock that you want to keep on your radar screen. Okay. Baidu, we know what happened tonight. I basically didn't play it because I just couldn't get an edge on it. So it's supposed to be, the lower end of the Bollinger is 181. I believe that's where the stock is right now, around the 181 level. But I'm not going to waste my energy on this right now because China is a little bit too tricky. So that's it. So I'm going to leave it all this tonight, and let's re-engage tomorrow. We are getting very oversold, so let's see if we can get a dead cat bounce. Whichever the case, the world is not ending. Stay firm, sleep well, give your kids a hug, and God bless America. Thank you for listening.